Hi, I'm Patty.
I'm Kim Michelle.
And I'm Jill. Welcome to our podcast. It's a great day to talk.
Because honestly, what day isn't a great day to talk?
So join us in our conversation.
A Great Day to Talk is brought to you by St. George Design, offering complete website design, social media management, search engine optimization, Google and Facebook ad management, and many other digital and print marketing services. stgeorgedesign.com. And by Richardson Brothers Custom Homes, third-generation builders who have been building custom homes in southern Utah for over 25 years. They will take your dream home from concept to completion. Contact richardsonbrothers.com.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to It Is a Great Day to Talk. I'm Kim Michelle, and I'm here with my great friends, Jill.
Hello.
And my equally great friend, Jill.
Oh. Hello.
I'm just seeing if you're paying attention out there. My equally great friend, Patty.
Yes.
And we are happy to be here today to discuss with you anything we choose to discuss today. We kind of have an idea, but who knows? We may choose to discuss something that just comes to us in the moment. We've been friends for a very long time, and we love to get together and talk about all the fun things in the world, books, current events.
Well, and sometimes not the fun things.
Yeah, sometimes the very real things, and sometimes the real things are fun things, but honestly, sometimes the real things are not necessarily fun, but they're still important things to talk about.
Amen.
So today, we're going to be talking about why we say yes to things that we really want to say no to. Now, it's possible that in the real scheme of things, we may be the only ones that have ever said yes to something that we really wanted to say no to.
Right. Okay. It might just be us.
It might just be us.
Because we're special.
We're very special that way. And if that is the case, then maybe we are setting you up so that in the future for you, if that were to ever happen, maybe you'll be grounded in some things that you can do to maybe choose to say no when you really mean no and say yes and when you really mean yes.
Or recognize that maybe you do it too.
Or, yeah.
And also having some, what are the reasons behind us feeling the need to say yes when we want to say no?
Yeah. I think the most important thing to take away from this conversation is that none of this is making anyone wrong or bad, or it's not about judgment or anything like that. It really is just, let's just have an honest conversation and see if any of this applies to you. And if it does it work for you in your life? And if it doesn't, then how can you make different decisions that serve you better? That's really what it's all about.
Yeah, because a lot of times we say yes to so many things that we end up suffering. Also, if you haven't joined us live on Facebook, you're welcome to watch the live video and make comments if you have relate to this in any way.
Yeah.
We would love
Fire
that.
away. We love to read your comments.
Yeah, and I just wanted
podcast.
to also mention that that's one of the things that I'm following here is just some of these comments in here. So if you see me on my iPad here, it is because I am totally killing it in this game here. But other than that, I'm also working to follow the stream here to see if there are comments and questions that you have that we want to bring to the conversation. So,
you know, that's what I love about you, Kim Michelle, and you too, Patty, over there, because I'm just sitting over here with myself, and I don't have to focus on those things. You guys take care of that. Thank you for taking care of that.
Well, I just noticed that my son just said, so hard to say no when the pressure is on.
yeah.
And that is 100% true. Depends on who's asking, what the value of the activity is, like how important it is to that person. And sometimes even when you shouldn't say yes, you do because of the pressure. Pressure could come from within or external as well. But why do we do it? And why are we not okay with like creating that boundary around what we are capable of?
You know, Patty, I totally relate to what Christian is saying there. Because that's one of my main drives is that for so many reasons, it's so hard for me to say no. You know, instead of saying the easy yes. The easy yes is always easier to say in the moment and harder to focus and deal and kind of get through after it's been said.
Do you think, Jill, for you, that it's hard to say no regardless of who is asking and regardless of what the ask is? Or do you find it harder depending on who's asking and what the ask is?
Well, okay, let's first things first. With my teenagers, it's not hard for me to say no. Okay, so there is that. In probably 90% of the situations, let's be honest. But when it comes to being asked for things or help or support or extra work or any of those things, I am a people pleaser. And I get really tied into how I'm perceived and what others think about me. And so I, over many years of the same behavior, have said yes to so many things because of those first three motives. Those first three motives are really hardcore driven inside for me.
How someone looks.
How I look towards someone, how I'm perceived, and what others think about me. I guess they all are the same thing. I guess they're all the same thing. And let's add in guilt. Guilt is a huge thing for me as well.
What in the world happened for us to feel guilty about saying no to something that we need to say no to?
What do you think that is?
Yeah, where'd that come from? Why did we learn to be
well, you know what? I can tell you where
pleasers?
mine is. Mine is all about self-esteem and motivation and wanting to look like I'm on top of it and have things under control. So guilt is a big thing for me. And also fear. I have a lot of fear around, well, again, that ties into how I'm perceived and what people think about me. So those are some big ones for me. Those are some really, really big ones. External expectations are really big. My own internal expectations for myself. I'm not really nice to myself. My self-talk a lot of the time has a lot to do with, well, if I can't get that done, then what the heck? Or if I can't get that done, then so-and-so will, and so-and-so will.
And then they'll look better.
And then again, that like is the perpetuation of my internal talk about my self-worth and da-da-da-da-da. And you'd think at 53, I'd be over it. But, you know, I think that that's kind of this awakening that I'm going through right now, is I'm getting to where I'm really zoning in onto why those things matter to me so much.
Don't you think that there's something really amazing? So all of you who are just babies in the world, which is anybody who's under 50.
Yes. Well, Patty, you know, Patty's 50. Okay, never
Yeah,
mind.
I'm
Just
almost
barely.
52.
Barely.
wait, I knew
she's
that.
she's barely over the line.
Had a lot of work
But
done.
don't you think that is a lot of work? A lot of
So
work done. Don't you think that is part of the beauty of this next phase, is that you get to step back for a moment and you get to start to be in this process of, okay, I don't have to just keep being on the hamster wheel. I can step back for a second, and now I can really start to evaluate, how am I showing up in the world? And is that how I want to show up in the world? And now I can start evaluating what really works for me and what doesn't work for me. Now, it might take the next 50 years to figure that out.
Right.
But at least that's a different part of the journey, which I think is kind of exciting.
I have such a hard time, even when someone says, hey, do you want to go to dinner? I feel complete obligation to do it, even though I shouldn't. I don't have time or money, or except for today.
Yeah, because we called Patty and said we're going to dinner, right?
different.
We didn't even ask, did we? Did we ask?
There's
we
never
just
an
said,
ask.
I
no.
just I
It's
don't
an
want to let.
expectation.
Yeah, I don't want to let someone down.
Did you want to let us down? Would
I
have
did.
you rather wanted to say no, honestly?
not
No,
today.
Patty, let's be real.
She looks
Patty,
No, but and it also, we talked about this too, is, the fear of missing out. If FOMO, and that's a real thing. You say
'cause
yes
would've-
because
it
you
was
don't
a
want to
party
miss out.
at dinner. You would have totally missed out.
Yeah, and of course I'm not talking about the two of you.
There's some shame.
But it is hard for me to say no because I don't want someone to feel let down,
Right.
or not valued if I said no. I don't like that. I want to be able to say no without any feeling at all.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
It's like, oh gosh, I can't. Now, if I really can't, I feel like I have to have a real good reason why I can't do something, and then I don't feel the guilt.
Yeah.
But if there's no real reason other than I don't feel like it, that's when I have to say
So I
yes.
think that is the real opportunity here. Is to grow into the space where we choose to say no because we choose it for no other reason.
Right.
Not because there's any other obligation, not because anyone else is expecting it from us, but we just choose it because we choose it, and that is more than enough.
Okay.
Jill had an epiphany.
I did have an epiphany. Sorry, I had this epiphany. There is one area in my life that I have over the last couple of years said no to because I don't want to. And that is in exercise.
Mm-hmm.
And this really has been
This is
a
huge.
huge thing for me, because I, for the last couple of years, have started to say, no, I don't want to do that. And I've really
And you've been okay. You've been
okay
clear,
with it.
clear.
Yeah, I really have. I don't know why that one hasn't really occurred to me. That's the one area in my life where I will say, nope, I don't want to do that. Friends will say, let's go hiking. Nope, I don't want to. Or let's go do this. Nope, I don't want to. I don't want to leave my house tonight. I forgot that I do that in that one area of my
where you
life.
can just say I don't want to.
I don't want to.
No, and I don't want to.
And that's enough. I don't need a rationalization.
Right.
I don't need an excuse. I don't need because it's competing with something else. I simply
Don't wanna
say
do it.
no because I choose no.
Yeah, so this is what I want to ask from you, Patty and Kim Michelle, is when does all of the rest of my life transfer into that same practice? Because not the rest of my life is in that same practice.
I think you get to do your work to figure out, okay, so what's happened for me in that space that I've made it okay for me there?
Right.
And what is the thinking that goes on for me there that's made it okay? And then how do I translate that into other spaces? Like, how am I owning that that's just my decision? And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about that because it's my decision and my decision alone. And then how can I then translate that into the other choices and decisions I make? And here's what's so amazing about that, Jill, is once you're so clear and clean on that for you, now what are you choosing?
My own thing.
Your own journey.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you're probably doing that more than you've done it before, the exercising of your own choice and choosing, totally free from anyone else's expectations or whatever. And you're choosing when you do it and when you don't, totally for you, and having a completely different experience around it.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Are you?
Yeah.
I feel like you're cured. She's cured.
Okay, I'm cured in that one area. I want the rest of this to transfer into the rest of my life.
It's the same process.
Well,
I don't feel like it is professionally or when other people are involved.
Mm-hmm.
With my own self, I'm much more confident in that. But how about you? Like, enough about me.
Oh, there's never enough.
right. Well, to be honest, I would rather someone, if I asked someone, hey, can you do this or not? And I would rather them say, no, I can't, than I'll try or let me see. And I would also rather them say no or yes rather than not text me back or call me back. So I would rather people be upfront with their ability to say yes or no, either way.
Yeah.
And so why is it so hard for me to be upfront with, no, there's no way I can do that, or
That's a
no,
really
I'm not
great
going to make it.
question.
I
Patty,
think that is a great question.
do you think,
Patty?
Patty, that you're nicer to others than you are to yourself? That you give more
Grace?
leeway and grace? Yeah. Do you give
Well-
more grace to others than you do to yourself?
Probably because I don't want their feelings hurt. So I would forego my own well-being to make sure I helped or did or went or whatever it was.
Right.
I guess it would depend on the person. I do feel, and I don't know about you guys, but there are certain people we're obligated to say yes to. Is there?
Yes.
Or are there? I mean, yeah.
Well,
Like,
I
like
think
family,
there are,
maybe.
Well, I think there are people that it's more difficult to say a true no to. Whether we're obligated to, I think that's another, because I think the most powerful thing we can always choose into is to know that we're at choice. And if we choose into yes or we choose into no, either way, the most powerful thing is that we chose it.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Because if I choose into yes, let's say that I'm doing something wonderful. There's air quotes there. You might not be able to see that, those of you who are just listening. If I choose to do something wonderful for, let's just say, my mom, and the whole time I'm in complete resentment around the fact that I'm doing it, is it wonderful?
No.
No.
No, and that's the other thing too. So if you chose yes, then own it, choose it, do it,
Yeah.
be in it 100%.
be in it. Yeah. And if you can't, then yeah, certainly there are things like I really need to go help this person, and so I'm going to do it. I'm not going to 100% love it, and I wish I was napping instead, but
You know, I read an article in Forbes magazine. Well, actually, it was Forbes.com. But one of the things that was suggested by the author was that if it's the wrong choice, we rationalize and justify in our head instead of just stepping into it without that rationalizing and justifying. And I thought that's really a great way to think through decisions. Am I rationalizing why I have to do this? Am I rationalizing why I should do this? Or do I just want to do this? And that would be a really powerful practice to just have as a regular, everyday decision-making process.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. I think there's lots of reasons why we say yes to things that it would serve us to say no to. I think fear of rejection or somebody being mad at us or
Guilt.
guilt for
Guilt motivated.
sure.
Can you guys still see the G on my forehead?
It's starting, that brand is
yes.
that branding that you had there is starting to fade a little bit, but yeah.
Well, and the more my hair recedes too, the brighter it becomes.
You know, or it could be to avoid conflict at all. Some people are really conflict averse, and so just to avoid the conflict, they'll just continue to say yes. The truth of the matter is that there'll always be people who will know you probably better than you know yourself. So they'll know if you're conflict averse. So they'll continue to ask because they know you'll continue to say yes just to avoid the conflict. You know, there'll be people in the world who will manipulate and take advantage of whatever that is for you until we choose to stand up in that space and own our space around it. And I know for me, as much as I might talk about even this kind of stuff and even coach around it, even today I can say that I know for me that one of my the way in which I create value for myself is hard work. I see myself as being a hard worker. So when you make a request of me that plays into my perceived value of being a hard worker, and you make a request that is perpetuating my value is based on the work that I do, then it becomes really difficult for me to say no to that.
Right.
Because my value is so integrated with
Right.
working hard and staying late and doing the extra project and making sure everything gets done.
And making sure the right people see you do it because
Right.
you want to be
That's-
valued. And I just have to point out this last comment. Christian said the other end of this is being able to accept a no from someone else and respect the dichotomy of encouraging participation but not manipulating.
Yeah.
And so being able to accept a no from someone else is also really important. But why is that sometimes easier to? I'm okay. Like if somebody says no, I can't go, or I can't this, or I can't do that, I'm good with it.
Right.
Because it really isn't about the other person. It really
Is-
always
is
is about
about
us.
Yeah.
And that sucks sometimes,
Yeah.
honestly, because it
Right.
would be nice if we could just make it about the other person.
Right.
But ultimately, it really is about if I see myself always saying yes to things that it would serve me to say no to, then really it's because I am at some level creating my value and my worth on what I do and not what I be.
Yeah, right.
That's interesting because what?
I was just going to say, I want you to talk about your test and what that
So
meant for you.
Right. So this topic has really, because it's something that I battle with all the time, really. And I'm a helper too. You know, the oldest of 5, and I like to solve problems. I like to get things done. I like things to get taken care of. And anyway, long story short.
Well, and I just want you to know, Jill, I've marveled at what you will do, at what lengths you will go to help other people and how thoughtful you are. And I don't know how you do it. And I have other friends like that as well. And I'm always like, how did you get to that? How did you do that? And are you okay? I also said,
you guys are the same.
I said, I'm glad you're creating some boundaries around those things, but don't ever create a boundary around me.
Yeah, for me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
If
Don't
I
say
call,
no to us.
No.
I have had to do a little boundary creating because the last couple of years have been really emotionally and physically exhausting. But this topic has really brought to mind this new Brene. Hello, we all have figured out how much I like Brene.
We all do.
She has written this. She wrote this book 10 years ago called "The Gifts of Imperfection," and she and her sisters are doing this 6-part podcast around this book. And at the beginning, you do this quiz. And in this quiz, it's called the Wholehearted Inventory. And so I did this Wholehearted Inventory today. And it has these guideposts, 10 guideposts, and your daring values. And part of the guideposts was reading really kind of shocked me because I thought, oh, okay, that sounds a lot like me. So letting go of comparison and becoming more into creativity, letting go of scarcity and fear of the dark, letting go of exhaustion as a status symbol, and productivity as self-worth. And that one right there, the productivity as self-worth, is huge. And I come by it rightly. My parents are and were the hardest working people I know on this planet. And there's just this expectation, well, we're provosts and that's how we do it.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what we do.
Yep.
We
work
always
hard.
work. We don't sit down
Exactly.
because our value is tied to our productivity.
Right. Yeah.
And we're probably, if we're not exhausted, then we didn't do enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's always been the big joke that if I sit around for more than 5 minutes, then I fall asleep because my body's like, oh, okay, we're done for the day. But
We're really not.
That's not serving. Well, I'm working on it not being something that serves me. Anxiety is a lifestyle, self-doubt, and the supposed to. I'm supposed to do that. That's what I'm supposed to do. Being cool and, quote, always in control. Perfectionism and what people think. So every single one of these guideposts, of these 10 guideposts, spoke to me in ways that I thought, but this is how I am and this is how I'm supposed to be. How can I not be who I am without ranking high in those categories?
Well, what are we supposed to be like was ingrained. So that's a sociological issue. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is what we're supposed to be like. This is what we're supposed to look like. So you have to say yes, or you have to help, and you have to do this, and da-da-da. And so then that ties to our self-worth.
Well, and don't you guys think too, Patty and Kim Michelle, that even though there's these guideposts, I want to do what I say yes to.
Yeah.
Except for when I don't. And I don't think I'm always, I don't know that I'm always honest about what I don't want to do. I don't want to exercise, and I'll say when I don't want to exercise.
I think that right there is the truth. I think we want to do the things that we genuinely desire to say yes to. I think we want to be 100% committed to those things that we genuinely yearn to say yes to. What happens, though, when we say yes to everything is that then it takes away from the things that genuinely are part of who we are.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. At our core, at our genuine, authentic self, when we are spending time doing things to try to prove who we are, that time takes away. That time, resource, energy, whatever that is, takes away from being in the space of who it is we genuinely, authentically, at our core are.
I can totally get behind that.
Yeah.
And at the same time, what I also worry about is my dearest friends and family who know that I'm in the process of creating some boundaries or working around some boundaries. When I say, yes, I want to do that, then they think, no, she really doesn't. Or they don't ask because they're afraid to.
You'll say yes.
I'll say yes. But then, so that's kind of, I don't know if that's how it has been for you guys. I don't want people to know that. And I don't want people to think that I don't want to help. Does that make sense?
Right.
Because like if I say yes, then I really mean it, even though I'm saying that sometimes I don't. But that's like such mixed messages. I hate that.
Well, I guess one of the things that we should identify with that, Jill, is are you saying yes because you want to do this? For what reason? So that you look good, so that you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you're saying yes and you want to do it so you look good, is that really authentic?
No. And that's when it comes to my people, I don't say yes because of how it makes me look. It's because they're my people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's your heart. That's
my heart.
you at your authentic self. And that's the number one thing when you're in self-examination that works, I think, is to step back, to pause for a moment before you say yes, is to pause and say, okay, what is the thinking that is driving me in this moment to say yes or to say no? Is fear driving me? Is wanting to be accepted driving me? Is my heart for service, genuine compassion, is that what's driving me? If I can discern what is the thinking that is truly driving me in my decision to say yes or no, and if what's truly driving me is part of my authentic self, then I know that the decision I make there will be genuinely part of who I am.
Right. Right. So now we have to go back, Kim Michelle, to what are some of those smaller things where people are like, hey, can you pick this up for me on your way, or can you do this? Little things, fine. But when we are like, oh, there's no way I can do that and get all the things done that I needed to do, but you say, yes, I will do it, and then forego some, like, I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll cancel the gym, or...
Right.
Yeah, because all of this is really about setting ourselves up to win in our life the best way we can.
Sure.
And other people as well, because I don't think other people in an ideal world want us to be breaking commitments, and we don't want to be breaking commitments either.
Right.
Unless it's exercise.
Unless it's exercise.
And agreed. So, I think part is to pause, and don't answer if you need some time to
Right.
really evaluate, okay, what is the thinking that's driving me right now in my choice or decision? I think if you manage people or you work with people or you supervise people, I always work with my people to be in the space that says yes and,
I like
yes.
Yeah. Scott said that. Yes,
Yeah.
and. Uh-huh.
Yes, I can do that, what you're asking of me. Yes, I can do that. And here's what it will mean. It will mean that I won't be able to complete this project. Because as the supervisor, I would want to know that, because that other project really may be a higher priority for me.
Sure.
And so if you knew that,
yeah,
you
then
would
I would
say,
say, oh, never mind. I'll give this other thing to somebody else. This is a higher priority.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Yes, and.
I like that a lot.
I think the other thing too that has helped me is to be honest and clear
So honest.
about that doesn't work for me, and I think people are more willing to accept that that's fine, and they're fine, so they need to accept my no, and that doesn't work for me, and then maybe I don't have to feel as guilty about saying no if I.
Do you not feel guilty, Patty? Or do you feel guilty when you say no?
Sometimes I say yes because I feel obligated, and and if I said no, I would feel
You would
guilty.
feel guilty, right? Because that's the flip of that.
Yeah. So I wish I didn't feel guilty.
I was just going to ask you, are
Yeah.
you in a place where you can do that?
Not feel guilty.
Not feel guilty? Not
No,
feel
I think-
obligated?
I think it's genetic.
Okay, well, I don't think it's genetic.
Oh no.
So what do you think it would have to look like for you to be able to say no and not feel guilty?
Well, I don't feel guilty if I have a good enough reason to say no.
Well, what if you are the good enough reason?
Yeah, that's not been a good enough yet.
Okay,
in
so
my life.
what would it take for you to be a good enough reason?
Kim Michelle's asking the hard questions.
Wow, I don't even know. I don't know. I mean, I guess if I said I am so exhausted, there's no way I can make it. I'm so sorry. I have to decline.
Yeah. Well,
Then,
so
but then I'm exhausted, so that's a good enough reason for me
okay,
to go.
but then what if we just didn't even include that, but just said,
Oh, I can't.
yeah,
But I
I
can't. It's
appreciate the opportunity and no.
yeah. And we also no is a complete sentence, right?
Yeah.
No end
Period.
stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
no,
I mean,
stop.
Warren Buffett said that. I'm paraphrasing. Warren Buffett, just so you all know. Something to the effect that successful people know no, and they use it all the time, and they don't feel bad about it ever.
That's the part. Don't feel bad
They
about
don't feel bad about it ever. So,
Yeah. Well, and I mean, what do you do not to feel bad about it?
I feel bad about it.
Oh, okay.
I'm on my journey just like everybody else, but I
Right.
think that's the ultimate objective, is to be able to grow yourself into that place that you know that you're enough, you're whole and complete just as you are, and that you don't have to say yes in order to gain acceptance or value or
Right.
from some outside kind of source or influence. And in that space, you're empowered to just say no, because no is what you're going to say.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I got to get.
We're
I
going to
gotta
practice a world of no's this week.
Yeah,
so
and I think-
all
I
of you
think-
who love us, sorry.
But also, if I say yes, I want anyone to know that I mean yes.
Yes,
See,
that's the
that's
flip
what
of
I
that.
was just saying,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah.
exactly what
so,
I was
and
just
I
saying.
so I want people to be honest with me, and I want them to be okay with me being honest back. And if I say yes, I can, I want that to be legitimate and
Right.
If I say no, it has no bearing on how I feel about that other person.
Right. That's one of the in the literature. It says, you're separating the experience from the person. I'm saying no to this question or this opportunity. It has nothing to do with the person who is posing the question or the opportunity.
That is for me right there. The core is what you just said, Patty. I don't want them to question what it is I'm saying that I'm doing. I don't.
And part of that is just our clear communication. When Scott and I first got married, and we were pretty young, and we were both debate coaches, and we were in college at the time, but we were at debate camp, and and it was the summer, and we had a very short period of time for lunch, and he came up to me and he said, "Hey, I'm gonna go have lunch with one of the other coaches, and we're gonna go over to Subway, and do you want to come?" And I'm like, we only have like 20 minutes, and that's not even enough time to be able, it's totally irresponsible. We don't have enough time to be able to get off property, off campus, and get back on campus and eat and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm in the line, and he's like, "So is that a no?" And I'm like, "Well, how is that not even going to work? You can't even get there and get back." And he's like looking at me like, and I say, "Well, I guess you can go if you want to go." Everyone in that room knew I was saying no.
Right.
He hears, "Okay, I'm out of here."
Right.
So he goes, right? I'm furious with him. He comes back. He cannot understand why I am so angry with him, because he clearly heard me say what I said, which was
no.
Well, I said
what you implied.
You can go. I thought he should clearly hear no. And that's part of this whole conversation.
Right.
Is you really get to own your stuff in this whole situation, right? We get to own how we're showing up in the process. And sometimes when I say yes to things, and I'm so mad the whole time I'm angry about spending my whole weekend doing something I didn't want to do when I'm the one that said yes.
Yeah, we
I'm
can't
mad
do
at
that.
the other person.
Yeah. Well, you can't do that. You've got to be honest and be forthcoming and honest with ourselves that we said yes. And so we can only be mad at ourselves, but not at the other person.
So examine your driving force. Pause for a moment before you say yes. Step back, look and think to yourself, what is the thinking that's driving me to say yes or no here? It doesn't matter whether you say yes or no as much as understanding why it is you would be saying yes or no.
I said yes because if I said no, I'd feel guilty. So I'd rather, it's almost like a martyr.
Yeah.
Right?
I'd rather not feel guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
And don't provide an excuse or a justification, because then you just open the door for them to come back and ask again.
Right.
Well, and also remember, if it's something that you do choose to do because you want to show your stuff, you desire to do it, then step into that.
Yeah,
and be honest
find some
about
joy in it.
Stepping into that.
Right.
Absolutely.
So that's
I want to
kind
do
of
this so that someone knows I'm good at
I'm
this.
good at this.
Yeah.
Right. No, that's exactly it. I
Or
think
maybe I want to do this because I know I'm good at it, whether you see it or not.
Right.
I know I'm good at it.
Right.
Yeah, right?
ties to personal values.
Yes.
Ties to
Absolutely.
confidence and personal values.
Absolutely.
Your internal drive, your internal experiences.
Yes, absolutely.
Jill, do you think it would be helpful if we posted that link on that test you took?
I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah, we'll do
Can we
that.
post that to our platforms?
Yes, absolutely. I'll do that when we're done here.
Yeah.
And also, what was it called?
It's called the Wholehearted Inventory. It is from the Brene Brown podcast that she's doing with her sisters. her two sisters. Why can I not find it? Because
And we'll post it all. We'll post all that information on all of our
And it gets
everywhere we post.
It gets behind your motives, right?
Yep, it's the wholehearted inventory. What do you need to let go of in order to cultivate? So letting go of what people think in order to cultivate your own authenticity. Learning to let go of perfectionism in order to cultivate self-compassion.
Yeah.
And this is tied around her book called The Gifts of Imperfection.
Yeah.
Which is going to be a book that I take with me to Maine because I'm leaving.
Yes, Jill's
On a
leaving
jet
us.
plane.
Don't
know when I'll be back again.
No, it's not when. It's don't know if
I'll
No.
be back again.
She will be back because we'll go get her
Yeah.
and bring her back.
Yeah, we
in
will.
the luggage carrier if necessary.
Yeah, so this is something in each one of these, they call them guideposts. There's 10 of them. And so that's going to be part of my continued unraveling.
Great. Great. Well, thank you, ladies. We're going to move to the
Blue Bowl?
gentle nudge.
Oh, gentle nudge.
Just as a, I'll just go first with the gentle nudge because the gentle nudge is around our book for this month, which we'll be doing next week. Jill will be joining us via, always wanted, Jill will be joining us via satellite on our call
That
next
sounds
week
so
to discuss
impressive.
our book. The Whole Town is Talking. So you still have plenty of time if you haven't started it yet to breeze through that book and join us. Yes. Also, if you didn't hear our podcast on the afterlife, you might want to go and listen to that. I think that's episode 8. Take a listen of
Patty.
that and join us next week for that. So that's my gentle nudge.
I will attempt to sit outside next to the ocean while we're chatting.
Nice.
Just thought I'd throw that in there. Thank you. You're
What?
welcome.
Gentle nudge, Jill?
What's your gentle?
gentle. Okay.
She's already
Yeah,
there.
she's
She's
gone.
already
She's
she's
like,
gone.
"See ya."
She's
So-
already there. Yeah.
My gentle nudge is to pause and think about why you're saying yes to something when saying yes to something.
I like
Great.
that.
And that's
I love
like
it.
my own self. When I call myself self, you need to pause. That's going to be my gentle nudge this week as well.
Great. I love that. Miss Patty?
Oh, I don't know. My gentle nudge would be to travel a little bit. I just got back from
Yeah.
Texas and started in San Antonio, Austin, Dallas, Waco. It was a whirlwind of a trip and awesome. And I had never been to Texas. So if you haven't been to Texas, put it on your bucket list because it was super fun, but very hot and muggy. But
Beautiful.
actually, I guess it wasn't as bad as it can be at this time of the year. But we had a great time. So yeah, get
Go
out
out
there.
and see the world.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. And just as a mention for the future, this week we talked about saying yes when it would serve you to say no. A future show we're going to talk about saying no when it would probably serve you to say yes. So we're going to talk about that on a future show. Blue Bowl.
Blue Bowl.
Let's go. Blue Bowl.
All right, I'll go.
Okay.
Let's see. Mine is, what made me smile the most this week? The most was 2 nights ago when we were watching the Golden Knights go Golden Knights. We're in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and they won in overtime. And I was so happy. It's been so
Yay!
much fun to watch them every other night for the last several nights. And when they win tomorrow night, we get to continue.
Awesome.
Woohoo!
Yes.
All right. This says biggest accomplishment of the week. Wow.
Going and getting back
Wow.
to
You had quite a week.
We had quite a week. It was a lot of fun. 2 concerts. a lot of miles on our rental van.
And you saw a big person.
Oh, my biggest
Shack attack.
accomplishment of the week is getting my picture taken with Shaquille O'Neal.
Yay.
Yeah, that was fun. That was
Literally and figuratively.
He is enormous and was so kind.
That's so great.
So that was a fun. I don't know that I accomplished something, but it happened.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, we did have to ask, and that was scary.
Yeah. And
And
he
you
said yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we hurried and Googled to see if he's likely to say yes or not. Or my friend April did, and she said he likes his fans, so it's okay. So then we dared.
Yeah.
Perfect.
There you go.
Thank you, Shaq, for making me friends.
Mine is what am I looking forward to? So what I'm looking forward to this week is that tomorrow is my honey's 60th birthday. So Scott Pullen, we just celebrated our 40th wedding anniversary. It's going to be his birthday tomorrow, his 60th birthday. And I'm looking forward to sharing that with him and celebrating him. He is just such a gift in my life. He's amazing. And so a shout out to you, Scott Pullen. I love you. You are such a gift in my life. So thank you, everyone. Yeah, happy birthday.
Join us next week.
Yeah. Join us for a book. The whole town is talking.
A whole town's talking.
Yeah, on a great day to talk. So we'll see ya. Bye.
Happy week.
Thanks for listening to It's a Great Day to Talk.
Be sure to follow and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform.
And until next week,
Get out there and talk.
This has been a production from a podcast studio.